Good morning. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can, Santiago. Welcome. Good morning, everyone. We will be starting shortly. And Kevin, I don't know if you're muted. I don't know if it matters, but you're not. Good morning, everyone. Welcome to our meeting. We will start in another minute. Thank you. Good morning, everyone. We're going to go ahead and get started. I am Erica Pines with MARTA. Today, we are going to discuss the track replacement phase 4 of our program that we would talk to you about this morning. And we call this phase the Canterbury Junction Diamond Crossover. Today, you will hear from our presentation team, which is myself, Erica Pines, in External Affairs. I manage stakeholder and public engagement. And then you will hear about the 2 project managers that are making this project happen. They work in our capital programs delivery section. They are Robert Murphy and Kelly Davis. Also joining us at the end for questions and answers will be Santiago Osorio, who is our Deputy Chief of Bus Operations. And then we'll have Rhonda Allen, who is our Chief of Customer Experience, joining us for questions and answers at the end. Thank you. So today, we just want to give some tips for the virtual meeting. We have people joined by telephone, by YouTube, and via the Zoom. All microphones have been muted to avoid background noise. Please use, if you're in the Zoom, use the Q&A function. If you can go ahead and familiarize yourself with where Q&A is located in your Zoom, that would be great. There's also a chat function. We will not be using that, monitoring that function for questions and answers. So if you have a question, please put it in the Q&A function. If you're on the YouTube, go ahead and type it in the chat. We do have someone monitoring the chat to feed us those questions and to share additional comments and questions after the virtual meeting. If you are joining by phone, please email those questions to publichearinginfo@itsmarta.com. That's publichearinginfo@itsmarta.com. For questions not related to the project that we are discussing today, this is very important. If you have a question that is not related to this project, we do want to hear from you, and it's very important that you contact customer service at custserve@itsmarta.com. That's CUSTSERV@itsmarta.com. We need you to email them so that we can log and track those questions and be sure that we address those. We will also address as many comments and questions as time allows. Just remember, for the purpose of this meeting, please put your questions and answers, if you're on Zoom, in the Q&A box. If you're on YouTube, drop them into the comments. And if you want to ask questions by phone, email publichearinginfo@itsmarta.com. Thanks. So today, we've done the introduction. I'll just go over the brief agenda. So we're going to have a presentation that will talk about our track replacement. It will give you an overview of the program. We will talk about the CANTERBURY suspension overview. We will discuss customer impacts, and we will inform you on how we've engaged the public and our marketing efforts to get the word out. We do want you to pay attention to this presentation. So we're going to do a trivia at the end. So we ask that you take good notes to see if you understand the impacts of this, because this is a big project and we just want to know everyone understands the impacts and everyone understands the workarounds. Following the trivia, we will have a Q&A, and then I'll close it out and we can get back to this beautiful Saturday. So the MARTA 2040 program is an unprecedented program of capital investment to rehab the existing system as well as expand the transit in the region. We call this our MARTA 2040 program. We hope that by the year 2040 that you have a completely different or enhanced experience on MARTA. And we're doing some great things, and we're going to talk about those briefly right now, and then we'll talk about this project. Some of the things that we're doing with the 2040 program is we're enhancing connectivity, mobility, and accessibility. We're also restoring some of our existing assets. We are helping to ensure system-wide safety, and we are enhancing the overall customer experience. We're also doing track renovations, which we will talk to you about a lot of that today. We're installing making ton of ventilation system modernizations. We're doing auxiliary power system upgrades and automatic train control system upgrades. You may have heard in the media last year about a new fleet of rail cars. We are procuring a new fleet of rail cars, which we will be coming to the public for your impact on the design of that. We're overhauling all of our escalators and elevators. We call that our station rehab program. We will be upgrading the elevators and escalators in all 38 stations, and the renovations will take place at all 38 stations. You may not see, each station will experience renovations, and some will be more prominent and noticeable than others, but you will see digital boards, you'll see nicer elevators and escalators. Some stations we're doing platform extensions. We're doing a couple of modernization projects in some stations, and then some stations will have bigger rehabs than others, but we are touching all 38 stations during this program. So now I'm going to turn it over to Robert Murphy, who will talk to you about the track replacement program. Robert.
Good morning, everyone. And Erica, thank you so much for this opportunity to come and share this information concerning TR4. We thank you for this opportunity. As Erica mentioned, I'm Robert Murphy, and I serve as the project manager for the fourth phase of MARTA track replacement program. You may hear me refer to it as TR4 during the presentation. MARTA is planning for the future of our system with a $225 million investment in heavy rail. This effort will renovate, repair, and restore nearly 36 miles of heavy rail lines while enhancing MARTA's safety, efficiency, and longevity. As with any project, different phases of the program may include varying levels of service impacts to our customers and the neighboring communities. Next slide, please. As you can see on the graphic above, the track replacement program is a 7-year effort that is comprised of 5 major repair components, including 190,000 linear feet of new rail, 26,000 concrete ties on the main line and storage yards, 100,000 direct fixation fasteners system-wide, 29 new bumping post installations, and 65 turnouts system-wide. If you don't know what all that means, simply stated, we're doing a lot of work to ensure your trip on MARTA heavy rail system is safe and that you can rest assured that our rail lines are well maintained. Next slide, please. MARTA is always working to maintain the system in a state of good repair. One of the ways we accomplish this is through single tracking. Not to be too technical, but single tracking is exactly how it sounds. All trains will share one single track, so needed maintenance and repairs can safely be performed on the other track. Single tracking helps us to minimize the overall impacts to our customers, and when possible, we try to single track during non-peak and weekend hours. However, some major repairs, which we will be mentioning in a moment, involve a crossover replacement, which prohibits us from implementing single tracking for track repair. Now, I would like to share a brief video to use to show a little bit more about MARTA's single tracking efforts. Video. Thank you. Thank you. Next slide, please. As I've mentioned, this work started in 2019, and since then, we've already completed a number of projects, which includes switch replacements, crossover replacements, and running rail replacements. Next slide, please. Now, we'll spend a little time discussing a major project that is just around the corner, our Canterbury Junction Diamond Crossover replacement. We will show a brief overview video of the Canterbury Junction Diamond Crossover, and then you will hear from Ms. Kelly Davis, who also spearheading this effort as a project manager. A video, please.
We have steel wheels on our train, and when you get that steel wheel making contact with the steel rails, the steel wears out. After so many years, it has to be replaced to maintain that safe and quality ride.
So this is what's called a switch. At these switch points, these are the only places that we are able to move the trains from one track to the other. That's why the maintenance and upkeep of these is critical to the upkeep of our system. The switches have been in service for 30 plus years, and they are at the end of life.
We will actually cut out the old rails.
We remove the ties, then we take down 2 inches of the ballast. The ballast is the rock that the rail sits on, and then we come back through and we put everything back. So it takes a long time because it's a lot of rail. Generally, these areas go from 200 to 300 feet in length. So we are replacing all of the rail and all of the timber ties. The track behind me, as you see, is out of service. So in this area, we are able to what's called single track. We're able to keep one track in service. We do have other areas on the system where we're not able to do that. We have some diamond crossovers, and when we replace those crossovers, we will have to do what's called a complete shutdown. The diamond crossover is exactly what it looks like. It's a big X. It touches both tracks. So when we replace that, you have to take out the whole thing at one time. So when you do that, you are taking out both tracks. We are not able to single track in those time periods. Right now we're going through Canterbury Junction, which is where our red and gold lines split. It is one of our most used areas of the system. So when we replace the diamond crossover at the Canterbury Junction, because both tracks will be out of service, we will be using a bus bridge to move our patrons from station to station. The buses will be running in a continuous loop from Lindbergh Station to Buckhead Station to Lenox Station, back to Buckhead Station and back to Lindbergh. Now we will have to interrupt service for several days, but the major benefit is that when we're done, the trains can move through the area a lot faster.
We're making the ride quality better, and we're making it safer for our passengers to keep our system functioning properly and safely.
Malika, we're not in presentation view.
Okay. Well, good morning, everybody. My name is Kelly Davis, and as you just saw, I am one of the project managers on the Canterbury Junction Diamond Crossover replacement efforts that are taking place in the first quarter of 2021. Mark your calendars, and please note that customers will experience major service impacts beginning the evening of February 16th at 9 p.m., and they will conclude at 4 a.m. on February 22nd. So because it is a diamond or double crossover, we will not be able to implement single tracking while the major components of the track replacement takes place. This diamond crossover work will require a partial system suspension on the days I just mentioned. As you see in the animation on the screen, 3 of our stations will directly be impacted by the track replacement. Those stations are Buckhead, Lindbergh, and Lindbergh Signal. Now, keep in mind, all impacted stations will remain open and accessible to our customers. I will say that this replacement does not mean that you cannot ride MARTA's system. Any customers who are traveling westbound and eastbound will experience no impact on their trip. If you are entering our Buckhead or Lenox rail stations, you will still be able to take the train northbound. And any customers entering our Lindbergh Center station will be able to take the train south. And at each of our impacted stations, MARTA customers will be provided free station-to-station bus shuttle service to continue the trips between Buckhead, Lenox, and Lindbergh Center stations. So, if you've never experienced a MARTA bus, you're in luck. You get your chance. Before I leave the slide, I would like to point out that there will be intermittent weekend single tracking, after February 22nd as we complete the work in the Canterbury Junction area. Next slide, please. We do know that these efforts will impact our customers, so we have been actively planning ways to reduce the inconvenience for those traveling between February 16th and the 22nd. As I just mentioned, we will have bus shuttles running throughout the day to ensure all of our rail customers can continue their ride to their final destination. Go back. Go, okay. Station agents, transit ambassadors, and bright directional signage will also be located at impacted stations and major trip origination points to help redirect riders to the shuttle service. And also please note that MARTA Mobility will provide complimentary paratransit services between the impacted stations during the track replacement efforts. Okay, next slide, please. Okay. We're going to have, again, continuous bus service that will connect MARTA riders with a convenient option to continue their trip at no additional cost during general service hours. The shuttle bus will provide continuous service from Buckhead, Lenox, and Lindbergh Center rail stations. I just want to point out again that the bus shuttles are free for our customers and will be operational during service hours. MARTA Connect, a partnership we have with the Uber, will be available to customers during the project. MARTA will provide a link to a $10 Uber voucher the customers can download to their Uber app and use twice daily to travel to or from Buckhead, Lenox, or Lindbergh Center rail stations. MARTA Connect details will be available at itsmarta.com. Okay, next slide, please. Now, before I pass the presentation back to Ms. Pines, I did want to leave everyone with a few top of mind items. I know it may seem repetitive, but these notes and reminders are very important. Please be sure to add at least 30 minutes to your total trip time if you're traveling between February 16th at 9 p.m. through the morning of February 22nd. Discounted Uber rides will be available through MARTA Connect, so be sure to visit itsmarta.com for details on the voucher program. And lastly, please follow us on Twitter. Our handle is @MARTAService. We will be providing real-time updates and announcements. Thank you very much.
Let's go back to slides, Kelly, because we skipped over a slide while you were talking.
Okay.
Can you go through this one again, just so that we're clear? Thank you.
Okay. So again, we know these efforts will impact our customers, so we have been actively planning ways to reduce the inconvenience for those traveling during the service outage of February 16th through the 22nd. We will have bus shuttles running throughout the day to ensure all of our rail customers can continue the ride to the final destination. Station agents, transit ambassadors, and bright directional signage will also be located at impacted stations and major trip origination points to help redirect riders to the shuttle service. And also note that MARTA Mobility will provide complimentary paratransit services between the impacted stations during the track replacement efforts.
Thank you for that.
No problem. Thank you.
Okay, so in summary, thank you, Kelly and Robert, for this very important information and the work that you do to enhance and improve and increase safety on our system. And for our participants, in summary, the work will be performed 24 hours a day, starting the evening of February 26th, running through the early AM of February 22nd. We hope to be back in service on the morning of February 22nd during regular service hours. We do know that the work on these tracks will have some impacts on neighboring communities, not just our riders. So our neighboring communities may hear noise from train alerts, from rail cutting, heavy equipment, vehicles moving in and out of the work site, and bright lights. So we are taking measures to notify those neighboring communities, as we always do, and our customers. Some of the things that we're doing to make sure that we market the strategies to help our customers and inform our regional stakeholders about the work are we're having 2 public meetings for customers and stakeholders. This is one of 2, and these meetings will be published on the YouTube. We had a meeting Thursday evening, so if you want to have someone go look at that meeting, it is up now. This meeting recording will probably be available on Monday. And then we're also having station engagement and outreach activities. As you can see from the right-hand corner of this slide, we're installing bright signage throughout the system, notifying customers of this important work. We're also doing targeted neighborhood and community literature drops near the impacted stations. We're going into neighborhoods with door hangers. We're going into businesses with posters informing about this work. We've emailed the businesses and the adjacent neighborhood associations. And we also have a stakeholder toolkit that we emailed to elected officials and businesses located in the project areas. We're also making sure that as we do this engagement, that we're taking in consideration our accessibility communities. We are being intentional about getting the information to individuals with disabilities and limited English proficiency. We coordinate this work with our Diversity and Inclusion Office to ensure compliance with Title IV and ADA requirements. We post non-PDF documents to ensure accessibility to these communities. And before we, I missed something on the last slide that I didn't say. We also, if you have a community that that needs Braille, we can make the information available in Braille. Thank you, Malika. Thanks. So now it's trivia time. We want to test your knowledge on how well you've paid attention. The first question is not on the screen. If someone could drop the link to the first question in the YouTube, that would be great. Not this poll, not yet, Malika. We're doing the how did you hear? Okay, the first question is, can we pop that question up? The how did you hear about this meeting? Or do we have it? I don't see the question and I don't know if we have it or not. So we'll go ahead with these. Excuse me?
It's been combined all into one poll now.
Okay.
So all 4 questions are in this one poll.
Thank you. Thank you for that information. Okay, so we're going to ask you a couple of questions. The first one is, what are the dates and times of the partial system shutdown? If you're looking at this from YouTube, you should have the link to answer these polling questions. If you're calling in from the phone, you can email us the answers at publichearinginfo@itsmarta.com. And if you're on the Zoom, you can scroll. There's a scroll button on the right-hand side of your screen. So the first one is, what are the dates and times of the partial system shutdown? We're testing your knowledge. The second question is, what 3 stations will be most impacted? Third question is, how will customers travel between Buckhead, Lenox, and Lindbergh Center stations? And the fourth one is, how did you hear about this meeting? If you could just let us know how you heard about this meeting. And we'll give the attendees about 30 more seconds to complete this. Okay, and the results. 91% of the participants answered correctly. The shutdown will be from February 16th at 9 p.m. through February 22nd at 4 a.m. Good job. What are the 3 stations? Which 3 stations will be most impacted? 100% of you got that right. Buckhead, Lenox, and Lindbergh Center. The third question, how will customers travel between Buckhead, Lenox, and Lindbergh? There was no wrong answer, but we do want you to know that we will have bus shuttle service and we will be using Uber through our MARTA Connect program. So for those of you that answered both, great job. If you answered bus shuttles, that's also correct. We just want to let you know that there are other options out there. And how did you hear about this meeting? Most of you said an email from MARTA. There were some others. If you could put in the chat, what did you mean by others? That would help us with our communications. Nextdoor, we started a partnership with Nextdoor. We're one of 2 transit agencies our size in the country that has done this partnership. So that's great to know that we are able to get the information to you out on Nextdoor. And then we have elected officials. That's great. Like I mentioned, we did send the elected officials a toolkit for them to email and post on their social media. And for you social media folks, we have Twitter, and then I see a lot of newspaper, radio, and TV, which is fantastic. And then friends or colleagues. This is great. Thank you. And we just want to make sure that we're getting the word out and we're doing it in an effective manner to engage all of our audiences. Thank you. And the prize is, good job. Okay, so we're going to turn it over for the Q&A. Before we start taking the questions, I just want to restate that if you have questions or comments that come up after this meeting, we would like to hear from you. Email those to publichearinginfo@itsmarta.com. That's publichearinginfo@itsmarta.com. MARTA.com. You can also email our customer service at custserve@itsmarta.com. That's CUSTSERV@itsmarta.com. Or you can call them at 404-848-5000. Remember, please send any non-project service-related questions to customer service, and our hours of operation are Monday to Friday from 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. So if you email us a question today, it may not be answered until Monday morning. And remember that all of this information is available in other languages and also in accessible formats such as Braille. And we'll start with the Q&A. My first question is, in New York City, when their subway does major track work like this, they enhance and increase frequency on bus service on local routes nearby the closure. Will this happen here on like the 5, the 39, etc.? So I'm going to turn that to our Deputy Chief of Bus Operations, Mr. Santiago Osorio.
Thank you. That's a very good question. So to answer that very effectively, the 5 and the 39 currently enjoy the benefit of high frequency because of the service that we're providing to the essential, due to the essential service plan to allow social distancing for our customers. So under normal circumstances, the 39 will run every 10 to 12 minutes. So right now, during peak times, we have buses departing stations every 5 to 7 minutes, and we have high capacity vehicles on that route. The 5, we apply the same concept. We do have a higher frequency on that route, and we do base that based on the level of ridership that we currently have. But we will take a second look at the 5. But thank you for that. That's a good question. But we currently provide and support those 2 routes with a higher frequency than we normally will under normal circumstances.
Thank you, Mr. Osorio. And one thing that I didn't mention for all of those listening, we chose to do this work during February, which has historically been a low ridership time in our system. And with the COVID-19 impacts and ridership being down, we hope to have as minimal impacts to our customers as possible. The next question, when the replacements are over on this section, will trains be able to travel through the area faster again? I'm going to have Kelly or Robert answer that question.
The short answer is yes.
What's the medium answer?
Well, the medium answer is, as Kelly mentioned in her presentation, there will be some single tracking weekends. We have 5 other turnouts that we're going to be doing on the NR and the NL track that will require single tracking. And during that single tracking times, trains will slow down.
Gotcha. Thank you for that. That's important to know. The next question, for Robert or Kelly, I know that work delays happen. How sure are you that the major work will be completed by February 22nd?
Again, that is another very good observation, very good question. All of our planning over the last year has centered around making sure that once we start removing this diamond, that we can go in there and take it out and replace it back within the 5 days. So we've also considered all of our risks. We think that we've mitigated our risk. The weather is always a risk. And then so we've taken that under consideration. And so what we've done and what the contract has assured us, if there's a light rain or light dusting or something like that, that will not prohibit them from completing this rail on time. If we do have a risk, is that if we get a tornado, or if we get an ice storm or 5, 6, 7 inches of rain, then that could delay things a little bit. Other than that, we will be able to complete it within the 5 days and have the track back restored Monday morning at 4 a.m.
Thank you so much. Okay, the next question is, as I understand it, service will continue but be modified north of the affected stations. With the track gone and the trains north of the junction unable to return to the yard, where are the trains going to be stored? Well, this is somebody who knows our system. Who wants to answer that question?
I'll answer it.
Thank you.
Another very good, astute question. We've already made the preliminary plans into our calculus that on the red line, our trains will be stored on the North Springs tail track, and also on the gold line over at Doraville, we will have trains stored on the tail track at Doraville. So that has already been put into our planning equation.
Thank you. The next question, I'm going to ask this one for Mr. Osorio. What safety precautions will be taken to ensure COVID-19 safety on the bus shuttles connecting the affected stations?
So thank you. So aside of the enforcement, we have an expectation that our customers do their part to wear their masks while they're board our vehicles. And we will have masks available for customers that don't have one. And if we observe someone getting on the bus without one, we will facilitate one for them. That's one. The second one is that we take our safety precautions very, very, very serious here. And what we will have is, aside of the clean detail that our vehicles go through every night, we will have what we call the end of line cleaning. That means we will have a service person at the end of limber station with something that we call an electrostatic sprayer. And with the electrostatic sprayer, basically they get on the bus and they fog the bus, and this chemical actually goes up there and look for surface so they can attack the SARS-2, which is the virus that causes COVID-19. And so by the time the customer boards the vehicle is disinfected and it has been through that process. So that will be going on through the duration of our service disruption. Aside of that, our vehicles are also now has what they call the micro filters. There's a special filter to help purify the air as it comes back into the HVAC system. So when it comes back out, it has the particles of viruses are being eliminated to an extent. So that's our commitment, and that's what we do now in 8 of our current stations during the day. And we will continue to do that at Limber during the 5-day shutdown.
Thank you. And while I have you, Mr. Osorio, I have another question. What are the expected bus frequencies for the shuttles, and how long is the expected travel time from end to end on the shuttle route?
So the frequency, it will be handled, it will be more of a load and go, but that's what we call it. So when we have a demand, we will send vehicles with customers as they come out of the train station, so there will be no need to sit there and wait. But if there is 1 or 2 customers waiting, the longest that they will have to wait at a platform will be no more than 10 to 12 minutes, and then we will send vehicles down to clean up the stations. So to answer the question, we don't have a set timing that we'll be sending, but do know that the longest that someone will wait at a platform or to depart will be 10 to 12 minutes.
Thank you. Next question, this is for Robert or Kelly. How fast do trains already move through the area, and how fast would they move after this work?
Kelly may be on mute. There she is.
Okay, thank you. Right now we are under a speed restriction, and trains move no faster than 25 miles per hour. Once the speed restriction is lifted, they can go upwards of 60 to 75 miles per hour.
Okay, and with that, and it was asking like, how fast are we moving them now, and then how fast after? Are they at the max of the restriction now?
Yes, ma'am, 25 miles per hour.
Okay.
Now, if when we do the single tracking and there are workers present, they are slowed down below the max restriction of 25 miles per hour.
Thank you so much. And this is a question we heard before. Will Path 400 be impacted by the construction? I have seen the work project going on next to the tracks. So this is about that path, Robert, that someone asked about Thursday.
Good question. No, the path will not be affected. There is a gate that separates the actual, that area up there is the high area where we are storing rail material, cross ties, and material that's going to be used for the diamond crossover replacement, and also the turnouts in that area. However, we would, if anyone wants to use that area, please use it at caution. Like I said, there is a fence that separates it, but it is an active construction site adjacent to the path, so please be careful.
Okay. Next question, what if there is a mechanical issue with the train and it needs a replacement north of the track replacement areas? Will you have an extra train in the end of line station?
Yes, we do. In our
Okay,
planning
great.
efforts, we do. Thank you. In our planning efforts, we will have a few cars stationed, as Robert mentioned, in our tail tracks of both North Springs and Doraville. And on the south end, our South Yard and our Armour Yard are open with normal capacity.
Okay, thank you. This question I'm giving to our Chief of Customer Experience. Can I use the Uber voucher if I'm not a new Uber customer? If I'm not, an Uber customer, that's what they're asking.
No, you must have an Uber account in order to use the voucher. So if you are a new or you're new to Uber, all you need to do now is go into the Uber platform, download the app. It has to be associated with some form of payment. So just as you would in any other day. So just go ahead and download the Uber app, and then you will be able to, once we have that voucher available, you'll be able to download the voucher and use it.
Rhonda, will you state again how they can get the voucher if they already have Uber?
Yeah, if they already have it, they can go. We will have 1 week before this work begins. The voucher will be available on itsmarta.com. In the service alert section, you'll click there on MARTA Connect, and there will be an entire page dedicated to how to use the voucher and how to download the link.
Okay, and I think that's it for the questions. That's the last question we received. So thank you all. If you continue to have questions or comments, please email us at publichearinginfo@itsmarta.com, and enjoy your Saturday. And thank you for joining us. Thank you.